possible interference. It was an SNP MP, Stuart Hosey, a member of the committee, who called for an assessment of what role, if any, Russia may have played.
The committee found it astonishing that no one in government had sought beforehand to protect the referendum from such attempts or investigated afterwards what attempts to influence it there may have been. The government, the UK government, should have recognised the threat back in 2014 in relation to the Scottish referendum, but it didn't. It didn't understand the threat until after the hack and leak operation against the Democratic National Committee in the United States. And because it was too slow to recognise the threat, it didn't take action to protect the UK in 2016. One would have thought that once the existence of that threat had been understood, seeing what had happened in the US, that someone here would have wanted to understand the extent and nature of the threat to the UK, and we wanted to see the post-referendum assessment. But there isn't one. There has been no assessment of Russian interference in the EU referendum, and this goes back to nobody wanting to touch this issue with a 10-foot pole. This is in stark contrast to the US response to reports of interference in the 2016 presidential elections. No matter how politically awkward or potentially embarrassing, there should have been an assessment of Russian interference in the EU referendum, and there must now be one. And the public must be told the results of that assessment.
Don't hold your breath. It was the following day that Keir Starmer challenged Boris Johnson about this report at, yes, PMQs. You may remember how Boris Johnson responded.
There's been no doubt what this is really all about, Mr. Speaker. This is about pressure from the Islingtonian Remainers who have seized on this report to try to give the impression that Russian interference was somehow responsible for Brexit, Mr. Speaker. That's what this is all about. The people of this country didn't vote to leave the EU because of pressure from Russia or Russian interference. They voted because they wanted to take back control of our money, of our trade policy, of our laws. And the simple fact is that after campaigning for Remain, after wanting to overturn the people's referendum day in, day out, all the periods when he was sitting on the Labour front bench, he simply can't bring himself to accept that.
Mr. Speaker, I see the Prime Minister's already on his pre-prepared lines. Yeah. This is a serious question of national security. The Prime Minister sat on this report for 10 months and failed to plug a gap in our law on national security for a year and a half.
Same Prime Minister, of course, it's easy to forget, who as Foreign Secretary sort of hopped off on his way back from a NATO summit to discuss, among other things, Vladimir Putin's attempt to murder 2 dissidents in Salisbury, to attend a massive party hosted by a member, well, I mean, you technically would say a former member of the KGB, but of course, as Vladimir Putin has told us on many occasions, there's no such thing